I used to believe silence was a sign of peace, a kind of comfort that wrapped itself around you when the world got too loud. But lately it started to feel like punishment. Every evening in our apartment carried the same dull rhythm. The low hum of the fridge, the faint clinking of her phone as she typed, followed by that soft laugh meant for someone else. Her name's Rachel. For 3 years she was my world. We had our flaws, sure, but I thought we were solid, the kind of couple who shared morning texts, inside jokes, and quiet Sunday breakfasts. I thought we were still in love. I was wrong. Somewhere along the line she began to drift. First in her eyes, then in her touch, and finally in her heart. It began subtly. Longer showers before going out. Lip gloss she never wore for me. Her phone glued to her hand like a secret she couldn't risk losing. I told myself I was overthinking. That love sometimes just goes through quiet phases. But deep down I knew something was slipping away. Then came that night, the party at James's place. I suggested we go, thinking maybe laughter and friends could remind us of what we used to be. But the moment we stepped inside, she vanished into the crowd like I was invisible. Her laughter carried from near the bar, louder, freer, like she'd been waiting to be anywhere but next to me. And that's when I saw him, Ethan. The kind of man who feeds on attention. He leaned in close, whispered something in her ear that made her laugh, tilt her head, and touch his shoulder like it was second nature. My chest tightened, but I didn't say a word. When she finally came back, she looked at me like a stranger might, half amused, half bored. Having fun? I asked quietly. Her lips curved into a knowing smile. Don't tell me you're jealous, she teased. I met her gaze steady. No, I said softly. I'm done. Her smirk faltered, confusion flickering for just a second, like she hadn't expected to lose something she'd already taken for granted. But I knew. I'd lost her long before that night. The ride home was a blur of streetlights and silence. She stared out the window, and I realized how many times I had mistaken her distance for depth. The next morning, she acted as if nothing had happened. Coffee? She asked, her tone light, almost cautious. I nodded. She moved around the kitchen with that forced normalcy, like she was trying to convince herself we were fine. About last night, she started, but I cut in. You don't have to explain. It's okay. Her eyes lifted. You're not mad. I shook my head. You can't be angry at someone for finally showing you who they are. For a second she almost looked human again, maybe even remorseful. But then she shrugged and took a sip of coffee, and whatever was left between us quietly died right there. That afternoon I began packing. No shouting, no tears. Just calm, steady movements, folding shirts, unplugging chargers, turning our shared memories into boxes. I paused at a photo of us from a trip years ago, her kissing my cheek under the rain. I turned it face down. When she came home and saw the boxes, her expression twisted. You're actually leaving? She asked. Yeah, I said. You made your choice. I'm just living with it. She crossed her arms. You're overreacting. I almost laughed. No, Rachel. I've just stopped making excuses for you. She didn't say another word. I think she assumed I'd come back eventually. But I didn't. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town. The first few nights were strange. The silence still felt heavy, but this time it wasn't cruel. It was healing. Slowly, I started rediscovering parts of myself I'd buried. Cooking dinner for one, reading late into the night, sleeping without waiting for a text that never came. Rachel once hated when I read too long, said I disappeared into stories. Maybe she was right. But now, that disappearance felt like freedom. Weeks later, she texted me. Do you ever think about us? I stared at the message for a while before replying sometimes, but only to remind myself why I left. She didn't respond. A week after that, I saw her at a cafe near my office. She looked the same, polished, confident, but her eyes gave her away. There was something missing behind that gloss. Regret, maybe. She walked up, trying to sound casual. Hey, stranger, she said. Hey, I replied. How've you been? Better, I said truthfully. She studied me, her smile flickering. You really moved on, huh? I gave a small nod. You taught me how. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she forced a laugh. You don't miss me at all? I did, I said. But not anymore. She looked down, her voice soft. You were always too calm for your own good. I smiled faintly. And you were always too careless with something good. When I walked out of that cafe, I didn't feel triumphant. Just free. Not because I'd won, but because I finally understood that walking away doesn't always mean defeat. Sometimes it's the only way to find peace. That night, sitting by my window, rain sliding down the glass, I thought about how love can fade into silence, and how silence can teach you things words never could. Rachel once told me that people who stop caring always look calm. Maybe she was right. But what she never understood was that calm doesn't mean empty. It means full of lessons, of peace, of everything you finally learned to let go of. I wasn't angry that night at the party. I wasn't jealous. I was just done. And sometimes being done is the loudest thing you'll ever say.